Let's restart this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not. I wasn't ready for it.
Somebody else
Whenever
start.
you're ready.
You start it, Rocky. So yesterday we played a show in Tishomingo, Mississippi.
Why you sound so excited about it?
Because it was a good show. Anyways, we played a show yesterday in Tishomingo, Mississippi, and it was really fun. I'm still excited about it, even though it was extremely cold. Rocky,
Yeah,
what's on your head?
I think tiger paws.
I think they're cheetahs.
Whatever.
In the 30s, no heater because they didn't bring me one.
But it wasn't wet.
It was
It
not
was not wet.
It's not wet. It's not
It was
wet.
cold.
It was real
We're not going to
cold.
start that again. No, we're not starting that again.
It was
But it
cold.
was cold. That's the last time we're saying it. No more.
It was cold.
It was really freaking cold.
But it was a really cool show because there was a lot of
It
people
was
showed
definitely
up.
cool.
A lot of
it was
people
cold.
showed up through the cold and people were throwing balloons and confetti. I looked over at one point and Jed's vase was just covered in silly string.
Well, I think,
Yeah.
I think,
I was like, what? I was like, where'd that come from?
I think this is like a good topic to go into about you don't know what you get yourself into sometimes. And last week in our vlog about the show we played last weekend where it was
Wet.
wet, you know, and the whole setup really wasn't well put together, especially for a rain situation. It was not ready for that. You know, this is kind of like playing Russian roulette when we do shows. Like, you know, when especially when they're outdoor shows, you don't know a lot going into it if you've never played this venue or this place before. And yesterday was basically a very pleasant surprise for what we ended up doing because we showed up and it was a very big production that went into what we did. Full on moving head light show, big sound system, lots and lots of people showed up to this thing. You know, even in, you know, it was like 35 degrees at the coldest point last night. So I mean, lots of people showed up. So you know, you just never know. You know, there's some shows like last weekend we go, man, we should have maybe not done this show. And then it scares you for shows like we did this weekend. You're like, man, I don't know if we want to, you know, put our gear and all that through that again. But it was totally worth it this time. So, you know, it's, you know, you just never know until you get into the middle of it. And this was like a great example of that.
I remember by the end of the night, we had taken our road cases off and put the covers back on them, and we were getting ready to put them in the trailer, and I looked on the top of one of my road cases and it was covered in like a thin layer of frost.
Oh my word.
And
I think my voice was too.
yeah, inside of our lungs definitely were. You just like kind of rake the moisture.
We all
off of
woke
it.
up with like scratchy throats.
Oh my God.
Hot shower helped, but it's still scratchy.
It was really cool. We were the only rock band there, I guess. There was another band, the Tennessee Sticks. Go check those guys out. They're really good friends of ours, and it was their show they put on. They do it every year down in Tishomingo, Mississippi, which is basically the middle of nowhere. But it was this huge open field, like Rocky said. They had a huge stage, big light show, big sound system. Shout out to Nathan.
Smoke was
and
really cool too.
yeah, Nathan.
And it didn't really hit you in the face. It was just, you know, some smoke just like comes right at you.
Yeah.
This didn't. It went straight up. That
Nathan
felt
and
like
Cody are two guys that do production around the Mississippi area, sound and lights and smoke and everything. And those guys, every time we're able to do a show with those guys, we're really excited because they know their stuff and they're really passionate about it. So shout out to those guys for making things happen. And they had a whole crew with them. But you know, Cody Ray and Nathan were the two main ones. But yeah, the Tennessee Sticks, they're like a southern country hip hop kind of
Rock
band
band,
almost.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally a combination
of all three.
rock,
Yeah.
country, and hip hop, and
With like pop, with almost like pop, big, huge like hooks. So those guys, they have a little bit of stuff in their music for everybody. I'm a big fan of the Tennessee Sticks. And they had after hours, and they had a DJ there.
well, After Hours was kind of like a how do I say what they are without sounding like I'm making fun of them? Because they're essentially kind of like a boy band.
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect, but I mean, I don't know what else to put. I don't
Hey.
know what else.
But I'm
I
totally
love the
cool with
Yeah.
it, dude. I love
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, they
that.
were cool.
Yeah, no, they were great.
Yeah.
It's just I don't
mean,
know
I'm
what
still
you
a
call
Backstreet
that.
Boys fan.
I don't
I'm
know
still
what you
Backstreet
call
Boys.
that.
It's something kind of
I
like
mean-
that. Well, I'd make a little more hip hop than that, but
Yeah, but I mean that's essentially what they
yeah.
are.
It's
And then
cool.
there's a rapper, Stress.
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 Yes. We should know that because we have stress.
Yeah. And then there was two DJs.
Max Victory was the MC, and he did a set. And Max Victory is a longtime friend of ours. He used to run a venue called Good Time Charlie's in Tupelo. Rest in peace. That was an awesome place to play. But Max Victory is an awesome DJ in the Mississippi area. He's a good friend of ours, and he was there MCing between all the bands. And it was cool. We're all big fans of rock and metal, obviously, but we're also big fans of just any kind of music you can think of that sounds cool, like has a good melody, has a good groove to it. We're just fans of music in general. We're not biased one way or the other, or elitist one way or the other, I guess is what you could say. So it was really cool. We usually play on shows with other rock bands, or we get lumped into that metal category. We are not a metal band, by the way, but we get lumped
Even though
in.
John does have all baritone guitars.
Well,
My voice
it's a
cracks.
tuning
There's no
issue.
guitars.
It's not a genre issue. Anyway, that's not important. We get lumped into these shows with other rock bands and other metal bands, and which is cool.
We
but-
can fit on either show.
Yeah, but when you do a show that's more of a completely different scene than what we're used to playing, I remember I looked at the guys before we went on stage. They came to us and like, all right, you guys are going on in 10 minutes, and we rounded up everybody, and all of our gear was already up there. We were sound checked and everything. We were just ready to go up there and play, and I looked at everybody and I said, this is either going to go over really well or not at all. But
They ended up loving us.
man,
I
the
mean,
Yeah, it
crowd,
was so
the crowd
cool,
was
yeah.
so wild.
It
Oh
was
my
so-
man, there were just
I
they
was
were,
feeding off of them.
there was
Like, the
that
more
one
they
dude
got, I
that kept
got.
like banging
He was
on the
banging
stage.
on that stage.
They had-
Yeah.
they
And
had
I kept
plywood.
thinking Jed fell. Like every time I heard, boo, 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 boo,
They
I
had
said he didn't get
plywood
that.
on
There was
the
a
stage.
uneven.
yeah, there was this
It was moving.
there was plywood on the stage that had kind of warped a little bit, so it
Yes.
kind of teeter-tottered. And this one guy, there was more than one guy. There was a few of them actually. Like we were getting on stage, and Max was introducing us and everything, and these guys were just banging on the stage, just screaming and hollering, and I was like, these guys are freaking ready to do something. I don't know if we're ready
Whether
to give it to
rock,
them.
rock out or murder us, one of the two is
One of them
happening.
actually took my mic and he was like, I was like, oh my gosh. It was cool though.
It was
It was fun.
really awesome, and I would do another Kegtober next year in a
Oh yeah,
heartbeat.
totally. It's you know, we were talking about this on the ride home last night. You know, we do shows in places that should have a really good turnout, that have had a lot of promotion, a lot of prep and planning go into it, and they completely fail. You know, we've played shows with bigger headliner acts that usually draw in a venue that usually draws, that had 4, 5, 6 months worth of promotion time. Who knows how many dollars went into the promotion, and it just, the show tanked and flopped. And then last night was a show that they literally scrounged together in about 3 weeks and managed to have a full-on stage, full-on light production, full-on sound production.
People.
Vendors that showed up to sell food and beer and t-shirts, and literally a whole bunch of people showed. I mean, a lot of people.
They even had
showed
people
Yeah.
out there in RVs camping
out. And
Yeah.
stuff. Like with 3 weeks of lead time, and I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
how does that work? Because we're so used to, you know, literally months and months of prep going into a show for it to turn out half as good as this one did with like 2 or 3 weeks of lead time. So that just shows you sometimes the place matters. And in Tishomingo, Mississippi, they're ready to party. So, you know, it was really cool to see how they really scrounged that together. And I say scrounged, I mean, there was no, I mean, that was a full-on, legitimate
These guys
show.
knew. These guys had done this before.
Yeah.
I think this was the second or third one they had done, so they knew what they were doing. Everybody had a role, and everybody did their role very well. And you know, we showed up and did our thing, but you know, by the time we got out there at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they had been out there all day setting up, and they had been, you know, like Rocky was saying, working on everything else for 3 weeks out, you know, beforehand. And they even had a place for merch tents sectioned off, and power ran for the merch.
And it was at these people's house too.
Yeah,
And
it was a house that was being
everybody.
built, and they put this huge stage behind it in this big open field. And it was Rocky looked at me last night at one point and was like, man, this is the best show we've played this year so far.
Oh, yeah.
And by far.
I did almost get locked in the bathroom.
How did you manage that?
Well, I went up because I didn't want to use the porta potties because I'm too diva for that.
Yeah,
I
me
went
too.
up to the people and I like seriously went up their steps, like up into their actual house. And I was like, no, please use your bathroom. I was like, I really don't want to use the porta potty. She's like, oh sure, like nice as can be. And so I'll go in the bathroom, close the door, the extension cord, I guess it's running from outside, gets stuck in the door. And I mean, it got jammed. And it wedged, and we couldn't turn it from either side. And they went and got some nail clippers and opened it up some kind of way. So yeah, it was insane. I thought y'all were gonna be able to
Sounds embarrassing.
do it without me.
All kinds of crazy stuff that goes into that. But yeah, and you know, there's, you know, we sold a good amount of merch last night, and there's not a whole bunch. I mean, when you have a good show, there's nothing much else we could say about it. I mean, you know, when stuff does not go good, we can talk for hours. We can tell you how not good that show was for longer than we actually were ever at that show. But on a good show, it's just like, good show, done.
Yeah.
You know,
There's something to be said about a show you go to and there's a lot of people there. But even more important than that, you want to actually engage people. You want to engage our existing fans who made the drive out to hang out and to catch our set. And you want to catch new fans too. And last night,
It was like all of it.
It was all of
it.
There was a ton of people, and it was like as soon as the music started playing, everybody swarmed the stage. Like right up front, there wasn't any of this like people standing 20 feet in front of the stage with their phones out, kind of observing, like
Zoo animals
type thing.
yeah.
There was none of that. It was like people were. It felt like how shows used to be when we were coming up, where people were just excited to hear some music. They were excited to see somebody actually hit a drum and play a guitar and actually sing into a microphone. And we were just we got up there, and like from the first note we played, man, these folks were just
All about it.
They were all about it, and you know, we were pumped up, and you know, I didn't have a mic last night because giving me a mic is always a bad idea, and I was just screaming at these people, and they were screaming back at me between songs. And
I was like, man, they're gonna get me tomorrow because I'm yelling at the people in the in-ears, and I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm screaming, I'm like, make some noise, and then like, I'm thinking, oh, I just like deafened them.
You know what though? Since this is on camera, I'm gonna take a second and I'm going to bust Allison out, because usually at every show, one of us completely messes something up in a set. Like last show was me. I messed up the ending to a song. The show before that, like the 300 shows before that, John usually messes something up.
I usually mess something up every show,
And
but
last night, Allison completely missed her intro into a song. Like she
I was
looked
making
the first song.
I was making
The
them
first
wait.
song.
I was making them wait a little longer, okay?
Like,
She was like, how are y'all doing tonight? Yeah, we're excited. Oh man, there was the intro. I'm just gonna not sing until the rest of the band
She just
comes
looks
in.
at me and she's just like, just come in. Y'all just start playing. Y'all just start playing. And I was like,
I meant to do that.
See, and the thing is,
I meant to do it.
The
I meant to do it.
I'm sure you did.
That's all I got. That's all we got. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Don't get wet.
Or cold.
You started.
I started it last time and it failed.
No, I started it last time.
No, I started it.
Oh, I'm the last one.
This is probably what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
This will be the B footage.
This will be at the very end.
The very end.
Yeah.
Really, I gotta start it. Don't mess it up this time.
How did I mess it up?
I wasn't ready.
Are you ready now?
Yep.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.